In this video, we'll walk through the new version 13 features for tracking your project's performance. Notice in the job tracking register, we now display your earliest and latest as-built dates at the top of the screen, so it's easier to see the timing of your project. As you track progress in the job tracking register, you may want to reconcile your as-built values with your accounting system, but accounting systems usually run a closeout report that ends on the previous month, in this example to the end of March. Notice we've continued working into the next month with my last entry coming in for April 7th. But I can now report progress on entries that fall just within a certain date range. I access this from the View menu, where I can set an as-built reporting range. In this case, I'll set a range that matches the reporting period of my accounting system, ending on March 31st. So even though I have work completed all the way up through April 7th, my range will end on March 31st. So when I click OK, notice how my total as-built costs have changed. Now the progress info in my job tracking register and reports will ignore entries outside of that range, so I can true up my numbers with accounting. When doing earned value reporting, you've always been able to report on your planned, earned, and as-built values, and you could get a forecast total at completion. The forecast total includes what you've done so far, plus your estimate for the remaining amount to complete. Some companies like to report separately just on the forecast of what's left to do, often called the estimate to completion. As you can see, we've now added the estimate to complete as a separate column. When forecasting your remaining work in HD, you may have used our average performance forecast method. When using this method, your remaining work is based on the average of all the work you've done so far. For example, on this excavating trench item, we had some low performance at the beginning and a rough patch recently, and the red line represents the average of all the work done so far. But maybe I'd like to base the remaining work just on the average of this middle time period when we were producing well, because I think that will best represent how the rest of the work will go. On the Forecast Details tab, I'm currently using the Average Performance Forecast method based on all of my entries so far. And looking at my forecast total cost variance, it looks like I'm forecasted to go over budget by over $3,000. But by clicking on Average Performance Dates, I can now calculate the average performance based on the most recent number of days, or I can specify a date range. In this case, I'm going to select from the week when we were performing well, from March 24th through March 28th. Notice my variance is now in the positive, telling me that if the excavation crew can keep performing like we did that good week, we'll end up staying within budget.